So it's already been 3 weeks. CAS system is here, and as a trader, we have to make significant changes in the way we trade options. If you're option buyer or if you're option seller, definitely that must have the CAS system must have made significant changes in the way you're trading options, particularly on zero DT. So in this video, we are going to discuss about experience for buyers, experience for seller, and we'll also touch upon some of the good things that SEBI has carried out that's potentially benefit the retail trader going forward. Now let's discuss the first week, because first week was most horrible week, wherein we did see CAS price, closing price was significantly higher than 315 closure, and that was kind of trend pretty much going for almost the first 8 session, and from option seller perspective, it was a bit difficult week, because you never know how far market can go in CAS session, isn't it? So 200 point moves we did see at some points, and that is really troubling trader. Mainly for option seller, we did see the way option used to decay earlier on, particularly expiry day, that is really changed. Usually, we don't see much decay throughout the day. The trend tend to be first 15 minutes you see a little bit of settlement in call premium, and then throughout the day you don't see much movement, and as day gets near to close, the market becomes bit violent, and eventually it will close within range of 200 points from ATM. So obviously option buyer and option seller both are kind of struggling. Second week of CAS closing was relatively better, but we did see again similar sort of behavior that we saw in first week, wherein there were some spikes in end of the session, particularly into second week expiry. In third week, I would say the CAS is a little bit stable now, because we noticed that the difference in the closing price and 315 price is not really more than 15 to 100, 50 to 100 points. And that's down to because of on 19th of August SEBI said they identified a couple of offenders who were trying to manipulate the markets by snooping. So the way they were doing is they were trying to place order in CAS window, and they were trying to cancel it before execution, which is called as snooping. So they caught those couple of offenders, and obviously if that keeps happening, then the operator or manipulator are definitely going to get scared that if they continue to do that, they're likely to get penalized, and that is good from retail perspective, because the retail traders they don't usually carry on positions, and the way they trade, they trade on relatively very small portion of capital. So it's very important for retail trader that SEBI is protecting their interest. Now let's talk about experience in the difference behavior of the premium, whether you're call buyer or whether you're call seller, or vice versa in the put side. So one major difference I've been experiencing is the call side premium. They tend to decay slowly. The same applies for even puts as well. The decay throughout the day doesn't really work that good, and all of a sudden everything gets decayed quite aggressively in last 15 minutes, and that goes really aggressively after 325. So most of the wild moves are coming after 325, and that has been a trend. Now throughout the session we see call skew. What is call skew is wherein you'll see if let's say the Nifty is trading at 24,400, then if you consider 100 points away call and 100 points away put, you'll always notice that call side premium tend to stay much more higher than put side premium at equivalent distance. We refer this as skew. So that skew is still ongoing. We still see the call side premium tend to be much more higher than put side premium, and that is making little bit difficult for traders, because we never know where market can expire in last 15 minutes. So I think it's still very early stage of CAS. There are a lot of improvements needs to be made probably in going forward, provided that SEBI really consider this seriously. So first improvement probably they can do is they should, regardless whether closing price gets settled at 340, the premium price must have been settled on the basis of behaviour, or at least you consider 315 closure. So that will be much more easier for option traders. From SEBI perspective, they are not going to basically what the CAS system is going to stay here forever. So some of my friends who are mainly dealing into option buying, they have been complaining that this last week was really bad, because throughout the day trend used to be pretty much like move, and then no decay throughout the day or no movement throughout the day, and all of a sudden they used to see some wide movement in probably last few minutes. So it's a bit difficult for option buyer at the moment. If you are option buyer, then I think you need to spend more time to probably observe this system. I think it's always better to let system to settle down for some period of time, and then once we get enough data for back test our strategy, then probably deploy capital again. So that's the way you can save your capital. Now let's discuss about the important topic, that is this monthly expiry, and this is going to be first monthly expiry week, wherein we are going to experience the CAS system that won't be just applicable for Nifty, but the mid caps, fin Nifty, bank Nifty, most of the indices will probably expire based on this CAS system. So what I expect in this time is probably Monday and Tuesday it's gonna be little bit volatile than usual. So of course volatility is going to give some opportunity to buyers, but make sure that you trade with limited stop loss, so you won't get wiped out during this violent move. If you're option seller, then you need to be extra careful, because we never know where exactly those CAS prices are going to take us. If you are trading into bank Nifty or fin Nifty or mid cap Nifty expiries as well, then you need to be extra careful, because that's the first time those particular indices gonna experience zero DT on Tuesday. So make sure you either stay a little bit far away if you're option seller. If you're option buyer, then probably best thing is to skip these expiries, stay with what are your strength. And the most important part is, if you're option buyer in the stock, particularly if you're trading into stock options, then be careful, because I would recommend you to close your position much more advanced before CAS window starts, because if in case your option ended up in the money, then obviously you'll have to take delivery, or even if you're a seller, you'll have to provide delivery. So make sure you close your position much more at once. Otherwise, you're gonna end up being losing significant portion of capital in penalties. So yeah, I hope you'll have good profitable week ahead. Stay safe, trade safe, take care.